Alright, we are up to issue 6 of Obsolete Wonder Woman. We are nearing the halfway mark of being caught up with the series. And this is the first part of the second story arc, and the first issue with a fill-in artist. The cover is by the title's regular artist, however, and it is a really good cover, and it even fits the story inside. We are going to be focusing on a red lasso and how a red lasso was created. The interior art, the fill-in artist, is more to the liking of modern comic book readers, what few of them remain. It is definitely the sort of art that plays big with the Twitter piracy crowd and Comics Explained. I'll talk more about the art in a bit, but we are picking up from last issue. Wonder Woman is now in the throne room of Hades, the god of the dead. We ended last issue with Wonder Woman being grabbed by a giant hand and dragged into the ground. Something like that, anyway. So, here is a complete waste of 2 pages. Hades, he is angered that Wonder Woman somehow escaped from hell, and so he makes her strip. This is almost as bad as what happened to Rachel Diamond. Does Wonder Woman have hospital bills to pay too? Nah, he's just disarming her. Everything that she wears is a weapon, or some form of a weapon. I'm not sure why her arm isn't being removed here. That counts as a weapon. The arm that she cut off and replaced with magic, with a magic arm. We don't acknowledge that or reference that. I want to give the book a chance. I want to enjoy it while I can. But I am always getting the feeling that the writer is more than capable of forgetting her own lore. Over here we have a quick inventory check of her weapons. We have her big sword. People love the big swords. I am curious where they are going to go with the swords. They've already had it get bigger. So are they going to make it bigger than that next time? Or are they going to mix it up and maybe it gets smaller? Maybe she has to do something very precise and it becomes like a scalpel. We have 3 different lassos, one of which I don't think we have even seen in use yet. The blue one. I don't think we saw that one. The other 2 we have. The green one is the transmogrification one that she used at the end of the first story arc. We saw how that was made in last issue's flashbacks. The red one is called Nemesis, and that would appear to be her main one. That is the one that is meant to be like the traditional Wonder Woman lasso, I think. We saw her use it a few times, but I think it was issue 2 where we learned that it was called Nemesis and that it burns anything it wraps around with their own sins. This is a lore-heavy issue. We are being told the story of how Nemesis was created. Wonder Woman is telling Hades how she, but mostly her mum, made this weapon. It was this page that I used for a cutaway last time to showcase the different artists for the issue. So I think it is this page I'll talk about the art. I think the artist is good. They are doing pencils, inks and colours as well. I like the muscle definition on Wonder Woman's arms. I think that is a detail that too many artists skimp on when it comes to Wonder Woman or She-Hulks. They will have big arms, but they are smooth. This art, well, the pencils, the line work, does fall into that umbrella of current art that is maybe interchangeable to someone who doesn't read a bunch of crappy new comics by Martin Quaid. I'm not saying any of those artists are bad either. I'm not too familiar with their work. I really like some of those artists even. And one of the best names I ever came up with was Sodom and Dan Mora. And I never get to use it because outside of his issues of Terrificals, I have no comics that he has done. He did artwork for a Digimon card too, Metal Greymon. There is a growing sentiment that he is the normie artist for normies, and snobs prefer real art like shite like obsolete Superman probably. Wonder Woman is ganning to free Prometheus, that is him there. He was directed by Ridley Scott. This is a great page for me to further point out what I think feels more unique to this artist. We have that Sodom and Dan Mora kind of style, but we also have a lot of realism on top of it. Prometheus here, looking like he leapt straight off a painted cover or something. Maybe it is the colours that are giving the art the distinct difference here. My beef with the art is that it is entirely separated from this book's usual style. There's practically no link between the two artists and their styles. To me, fill-in art is not something that a book should ever aspire to have. Fill-in art means that your regular artist isn't up to the task of doing an issue every month. And to Peabody and Sherman's credit, the regular artist, he is actually balancing two books. He has got Batman at the same time. Him not being able to do every issue of obsolete Wonder Woman is more than understandable to me, but I don't think that it is Peabody and Sherman that is really to blame here. All the obsolete books have fill-in artists after a story or a few issues, and they are touted and treated as exciting guest artists, and that is a selling point here. I don't know, it feels like they are trying to put a spin on something that is obviously a sign of the state of modern comic book art and how demanding it is. If an artist needs relief, is it something we should be promoting like it is a good thing? Is it not encouraging the industry to start viewing artists as replaceable and to view regular artists as no longer useful or beneficial? Why have a regular artist on a title when every 6 issues you could get a new one, and then that is an excuse to promote it all over again? I'm just thinking here, I'm throwing out thoughts. I suppose it means that every now and again, those shit obsolete Superman scripts can be drawn by a real artist instead of a fraud who reuses the same artwork over and over again. The story here is we are being told the story of how Wonder Woman got Prometheus's blood for the creation of her weapon. I didn't enjoy reading this much, but on reflection I didn't mind it. It's fine. I thought it was a bit boring to read and a bit garbled. And what we are being retold here isn't much of a story, but on top of explaining some of our mythology, we do also get The surprise backstory for Pegasus. Prometheus gifted a Pegasus. The Pegasus has been a very visible part of obsolete Wonder Woman. It was even on the cover to issue 1. And it's one of those things that I could see a lot of writers neglecting to ever explain. But I do feel that one part of obsolete Wonder Woman seems to be considered. I remember in issue 2 or 3, it was right when I was starting to think about Pegasus and thinking that we needed some form of explanation or at least acknowledgement. I remember right at the moment when I was thinking that, we did throw out some part of the backstory for it. I think this story is a two-parter. I've not read part 2 yet. Maybe part 2 will change my opinion. But if our story is Wonder Woman telling Hades about the lore of her weapons, which it is in part 1, we have a different flashback here with her fighting the Basilisk. Its soul is trapped within Nemesis. Something along those lines. It is another flashback. If this story is that, if the two parts are going to be this, I think combined with our different art style, I think this should have been an annual. Maybe part 2 will shake things up because we end with Hades having captured Circa to expose Wonder Woman's main weakness. Next issue is the one with Circa on the cover too. Maybe what made me less harsh on the main story is this. We have backup stories, 2 of them, starring Wonder Tot. They are single-page stories showing Wonder Tot being Wonder Woman and being a toddler. I fucking love these. They reinforce the idea and theme that Wonder Woman is special, that she brought kindness and niceness to Hell. And as Wonder Tot, she carries so much innocence. She remains good-natured and warm-hearted even in Hell. More Wonder Tot, please. That is issue 6, and I would claim this is a complicated one. It had me mind all over the place. There's good stuff in there, definitely. Maybe I am too apprehensive reading these. Maybe I am subconsciously waiting for them to slip up. The other issues usually had 1 or 2 big bits that were causing me concern. But this one I can't quite put my finger on it because there were a lot of small things I didn't care for, or that just didn't click with me. But then we have 2 pages of Wonder Tot, and I loved that. That's my reasoning for giving it 7 thumbs up.